Washington mornings on the Mall. 105.9 FM. And AM 630. WMAL.
7:37 on WMAL, where Washington comes to talk. At 8:05, we're going to have Grover Norquist on to talk about last night's crazy deal with the House and Senate in approving the fiscal cliff plan the president put forth. Also at 8:35, Representative Tom Price, Republican of Georgia, on that very same issue. Can't wait to hear from him. Good morning, Brian Wilson.
Good morning to you, Larry O'Connor. And joining us on the line right now is KT McFarland. KT is a Fox News national security analyst and host of FoxNews.com's DefCon 3 show, which can be heard at 2 p.m. on Wednesdays on live.foxnews.com. Hey, KT, how are you?
And we're happy fiscal cliff year.
Yeah, how about all that?
you.
Well, we could go into that. We've been talking about that all morning. I have other things I want to talk about with you.
Good.
First of all, let's talk about there was a report from Congress about what happened in Benghazi, which largely got short shrift because we were all focused on the fiscal cliff negotiations. Have you had a chance to peruse through that, and what's your thought?
It was very damning, and it was from the Senate, Democrat-controlled Senate. And it was pretty damning. It said that the red light was flashing in Benghazi and nobody paid any attention. To me, though, the whole Benghazi thing, we know that everybody screwed up before, and we know everybody screwed up during. I mean, I think that whether the State Department or the administration admits it or not, everybody understands it. To me, what is the important part of it is that everybody's screwed up afterwards, and that's what we're not focused on. Why have we not retaliated against these guys? We know where the training camps are in eastern Libya, the al-Qaeda training camps. The guy who claimed responsibility for Benghazi, according to the New York Times, is sitting in the Benghazi luxury hotel sipping strawberry frappes and around the pool. Why don't we go after him? I'm not saying we invade that country, but we could sure should take out the people responsible for killing our own. And why is it important? Not just for vengeance, but because of the signal you do or don't send to al-Qaeda or their franchises and their affiliates.
And there was one other thing that just torqued me off about the Benghazi thing. That was we all reported. We all went on record as saying, oh, look, the State Department actually rolled a few heads over there over this thing. Turns out they didn't really roll those heads.
In true government fashion, they just reassigned them. That's the thing, and Secretary Clinton, who I really wish well, and I think she's seriously ill, and God bless her, but to say I take full responsibility and then they all dodge the blame, that's the whole problem, not just at the State Department or in Washington. That's the whole problem in the country. Nobody's willing to take any blame. Nobody's willing to accept consequences for their actions. And I think that's what the whole fiscal cliff thing is about. Everybody's saying, every man for himself, it's all about me. And nobody's saying, what can I do to help? It's a very different way of looking at a glass that's half full.
KT, you mentioned that these al-Qaeda terrorists who carried out this assault in Benghazi are pretty much walking scot-free. In fact, you're saying they're sipping strawberry frappes. The president, he's been grandstanding since the day this happened, saying that they are going to hunt these people down and they are going to pay consequences. Has there been any indication that there's going to be any retaliation against these guys? I mean, there's got to be some camps in Libya now for the al-Qaeda wing there for terrorist training. Can't they be?
Yeah, we know the camps are there. We knew where the camps were before. We know where the camps are now.
Why are they still there? Why are they still standing?
I wish we could ask that question of the president. Here's why it's so important. If you go back and look at 1998, there were bombings at 2 U.S. embassies in East Africa. And in 2000, there was the bombing of the USS Cole. We never went after the guys, although within 2 weeks of those attacks, we knew who did it. We never went after them. We increased security at the embassies around the world. We had different rules of engagement with the United States Navy, but we never went after the guys who did it. What was the result of that? Bin Laden himself did a recruitment video saying, let's go kill Americans. Mm-hmm. They don't do anything when we go after them. And then you had September 11th. So it's the signal being sent that is to me, is the most upsetting. And it's not a Republican thing. It's not a Democrat thing. It's the fact that the United States looks like it takes these attacks on U.S. territory and killing of American citizens and American diplomats, personal representatives of the president, and we don't do anything about it. What does that do? That invites an even bigger attack next time against Americans. And in addition to that, we're leaving the Middle East. We've left Iraq. We're leaving Afghanistan. What are we leaving behind? A lot of unprotected Americans. We have flooded that region with, social workers, aid workers, NGO people, school teachers, and they're now going to be there alone and vulnerable.
KT McFarland is our guest, and KT, you mentioned Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. Of course, we all wish her well. But I have to ask you, as a professional in the foreign policy for the foreign affairs for your whole career. Thank you, national security. I'm sorry. Isn't this kind of been strange, the way the trickle out of information? I mean, any other cabinet member who has suffered some sort of medical malady, you would have gotten a full report on the information. Why has it been so slow in coming and sort of trickled out a bit by bit from the beginning on this?
Well, I think that you don't notice it because, as you point out, everybody's so focused on the fiscal cliff and the financial things. But I think it's very strange that, nobody's seen her, and with the information you've gotten is very limited. The hospital that she's in New York, which is 3 blocks from where we live, where my husband just had major heart surgery, that's a hospital that you don't stay in unless you're probably something's going on. So I think that there are a lot of unanswered questions, and everyone wishes her well, but it does sound like it's more serious than a little bit of dehydration.
All right. KT McFarland, we appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.